Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Let me know if the sound is okay. I think video is alright, just main thing's the sound. Might be a little bit distorted, looks like it. And good morning, Jen B. Hey, via XP. Hey, Ismat. Ayakame, how you doing? Good morning, Diana. Hey, BL. Hey, Kaliz Z. Sorry if I messed it up. Any update on my Forex fund? I haven't seen any updates on that. I'm not following that much in particular either. Hey Val, how you doing? Yes, we have hit 700 on Discord. So if you haven't already, if you're new to the session, if you haven't already, do click on the link and join the Discord channel. It is 700 and growing. Thanks for that, VXP. Thanks for that, BL. Hey Pips Apprentice, how you doing? Good morning, Christina. How you doing? Okay, so just a quick risk disclaimer. This live market analysis is sponsored by Max Global Markets, a brokerage firm that is registered with and regulated by the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the MAS. Max Global Market sponsorship of this video is only for promotional purpose and does not imply support of the material or viewpoints represented. So please remember that the information in this analysis is offered solely for educational and informational reasons and does not constitute financial advice. Before you jump into any trades, please make sure you do your own analysis. Make sure you are ready. You accept the risk, you are ready to take on the risk and the leverage, check your leverage, check your margin before you jump into any trades. Ooh, no sound again. How's the sound going? Sound check, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thanks for that. Yes, I did get a new mic. Look at that. I look like a little bit of trying to be a little bit more professional now. I see everyone doing videos with this mic, so I did get that mic. Seems to be working well. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Every time I say it seems to be working well, I kind of jinx it a little bit. So I hope I don't jinx it too much this time. And hey D-Train, how are you doing? So guys, again, if you are going to try it out, the QR code is there. Do scan the QR code. There's some good promotions going on through the Max Global Markets. You can scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen there to check it out. Thanks, D-Train. I appreciate that. Okay, so now what's happening here? As I was sharing on the Discord channel that markets are moving, right? We just saw in the last hour the dollar breaking, well, early today or through the last hour, the dollar index was breaking to the downside, now rebounding a little bit. I said I was going to be distracted during the session because I was looking at the Aussie just the last hour, looking at it was going to push back up. The yen looked like it was going to come back down. The pound dollar, was pushing up. The euro, looks like it's well on its way to the upside. The US Swiss franc is doing very well. Not something I traded. It looks like it's doing very well to the downside, together with the CAD still sitting in that consolidation. I have been busy. I haven't been posting much in terms of the trades, specifically on the trades on the Discord channel, because I've been scalping the gold to the upside, right? So when I scalp, I don't post it into the Discord channel because it's too time sensitive. By the time I'm in and out of a trade, it's too late to post it up. If I post it up when I get into a trade, by the time you guys look into it, I'll probably be out of trade already. So I've been busy on gold, trading it to the upside. Not much on the others. That's why I was thinking that today we might see the prices start moving a little bit more conducively for our trades. Pips Apprentice says, sounds like I'm in the office with you. Hey, you should come and trade with me in the office. I'm probably, but you have to come to Singapore, you have to come in and sit down, spend a couple of days. But that would be an offer open to a lot of you guys, all right? Sounds really good, fantastic. Kalinzi said, how much is the minimum deposit on Max Global? Do scan the QR code, check it out. And you can see the details in there. There are some conditions available, some terms and conditions as well. Okay, lost my train of thought. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so before we look into the news and what happened overnight, again, if you are new to this session, thank you for joining me during this daily market analysis. Do drop a message, especially if you're new, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. The Discord link is there right at the start. Do join us on Discord. We are at 700 and growing right now. For all the regulars, I see all the regular names. Very happy to see you all. Thank you for setting aside the time and joining me during this hour. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat. Let me know. I'll be happy to address your questions. And if you can help me out, click that like and subscribe button, please. Okay, hey Jimmy, how are you doing? So with all that, now what happened overnight was we did see the core PPI for the US and the PPI month to month for the US a little bit better than expected, right? Core PPI was 0.2%. Expected 0.2, came out at 0.3. PPI was 0.7, expected 0.3, came out at a 0.5. PPI is the producer price index. It is one of the components towards inflation growth, right? One of the components towards inflation growth. So with the way the PPI looks at this point, last night when it was being released last night, it does show a slowdown, right? PPI month to month does show a slowdown from 0.7% to 0.5. Not as much as expected, but still a slowdown. So that's possibly going to indicate, tonight's CPI number, that we might still see that slight slowdown in inflation growth. Like I was telling you all yesterday, core PPI, right, excludes food and energy. So this number here, PPI, is likely, we might see that jump a little bit into next month, but for now, I think that we're going to see it drop, and that will lead to tonight's CPI decision, right? Not CPI decision, CPI data release from the US, where we're looking at it possibly going from a 3.7 to a 3.6. If you remember yesterday, I was saying that I was even thinking that it might be a 3.2, right? 3.4, 3.2. I think with the way the PPI hasn't dropped as much as as markets anticipate, we might see this at a 3.6, but we are possibly looking at CPI year on year for the US still showing that slowdown in inflation growth, which could be a good news in terms of that interest rate decision to come from the US, or the lack of an interest rate decision to come from the FOMC on the 1st of November. So that's what I'm looking at. That's happening at 8:30 p.m. GMT plus 8 tonight. Okay, for me tonight. Before all that, at 2 a.m. early this morning, so I'm a bit lack of sleep right now. So I'm on my third cup of coffee. A bit lack of sleep because I was reading I stayed up to read the minutes. No big surprises, right? No big surprises. right? But it did, so it didn't say too much, but it did indicate that they might slow down rates, or they might stop increasing rates, but they might most likely going to keep rates higher for longer. The term is always coming to the line of higher for longer at this point. Okay, so no big surprises there from the Feds in terms of the meeting minutes. Was just looking at the GDP before this session, 2 p.m. GMT plus 8 from the UK. It was a minus 0.5, got revised to a minus 0.6, came out, expected a 0.2, came out at a 0.2. We did not see an immediate reaction, or big immediate reaction on the pound dollar because of this news. So I was looking, whether I could get into any trades, any quick trades on the pound dollar as it, I'll take that away, right, as it pushed up. But at a 2 o'clock period, you can see that it just sat there, pushed up a little bit before coming back down again. So it sat there as a doji right at that 1.2330 level. Okay, so no big reaction on that GDP number from the UK. So with that, now looking at this, there was a question. Why is the dollar index going down even though there is good news from the US? It's not that it's it's a good news in terms of it's a green number, because based on Forex Factory, based on most data release, when it's better than previous, I'll show you here, when it's better than previous, better than expected, so 0.3, came out at 0.5. So when it's better than the forecast, it comes out green. Doesn't always mean that it's a good data, right? Doesn't always mean it's a good data, because with PPI going from 0.7 to 0.5, again, I'll show you, we did this yesterday, it's a leading indicator of consumer inflation, right? It's a leading indicator of consumer inflation. So that's showing a slowdown in inflation growth. A slowdown in inflation growth is going to lead to less likelihood, or slower likelihood for, less likelihood for the Fed Reserve to hike rates in the November meeting. So again, if we look at the CME, let's see whether the numbers has changed. So it's at 88. I think yesterday was at 87. Right, on the 10th it was 86.8. Right now it's at 88.2. So it's a higher, it's slowly increasing to the point where markets, it's almost never a certainty, but almost a certainty that on the 1st of November the Feds are going to keep rates on hold. All right, so if rates are kept on hold, no rate hike, then dollar is likely to continue to the downside. All right, Kwan, hope that answers your question. Good question. I think a lot of people might have had that question as well. So, good question. Thanks for bringing that up. That's why we see the dollar index pushing back down. Good morning, Goju. How are you doing? Are you looking to sell the pound dollar? We'll go through that as we go through the different currency pairs, okay? So now coming back to what we're looking at, that one's done. Not much else. Monetary policy meeting accounts, then through to the CPI later on. Okay, so we're looking at this year to year, possibly at 3.5. My guess is 3.5. Put it in, tell me what you think, what you guess it's likely to be. 3.4, 3.5. CPI month to month is also showing a possible slowdown, and core CPI looking like it's staying. Again, core CPI excludes food and energy. So core CPI looking at staying at 0.3. Again, if this comes out as a lower number, then the likelihood for the rate increase is going to diminish. This might get to that 90% maybe, right? If it does get to that 90% level, then the dollar index is likely to push lower again. Okay, so now looking at the charts here, today being the 12th, okay, yesterday when I just added this in, so yesterday when we were at this point, where were we yesterday? About that point there, right? We were looking and I was saying that, dollar index likely to consolidate along this. Let me change this line a little bit. Okay, right, when we were at that point, I was saying that dollar index is likely to consolidate along this 105.70 level, and if it does break that support, it could hit lower. What happened was a little bit of a surprise where we saw it trade down, right? We saw it trade down and then push back up. So again, right after this news, right? Not this news. Right after this news at 8:30 last night, we saw the dollar index. This was 8 o'clock. Zoom in a little bit. Right, we saw on that news release, we saw the dollar index push to the downside. We saw it push to the downside, but remember, it's only a PPI number. It's not the CPI. It's not the core PCE price index. So it pushed down, tested this level, and rebounded back up. Okay, so but it got held at this previous swing level. So it got held by this level, and that's why it tested about 106 before looking like it's pushing back down again. This morning I was actually testing this and I saw that it also came to about that 23.6 fib retracement level. I think 38.2 was just a little bit further away. So it came to 23.6 before, right, it tested, and then after that it came back down again. So that's what happened overnight. At this point right now on the dollar index, what I'm looking at is that I'm a little bit surprised that it's bouncing back right now. Okay, I'm a little bit surprised that it's bouncing back right now, just because the way it has been dropping since the release of the Fed minutes, right? At 2 a.m. you can see on the release of the Fed minutes, we saw this pushing to the downside. I expected it. I was planning what to say to you guys during this session. I was expecting to say that we could see it come back down to this point. I thought it was relatively straightforward, but what's happening now is this hour, it looks like it's bouncing back up. Okay, it looks like it's bouncing back up. So what I'm looking for here in this case is maybe for it to test a little, to retrace a little bit. Okay, and this is on the read. I don't like doing a fib level on such a tight point. Okay, so it doesn't always work on such a tight, or rather I don't encourage drawing fib levels on such a small time frame or a small span of time. But what you see here is that it's likely to come back up to that 23.6 or even that 38.2 level before continuing to the downside. I don't think you get to 50, right? But what we're looking for in general is that move back down again. Okay, so we're looking for that move to complete before coming back, that retracement to complete before coming back down again. Does that make sense? It might hold right there at this support turn to resistance, but I think that it might push up a little bit before coming down. If it makes sense, let me know, put it into the chat. And then I'm looking at retrace. Okay, wait for retracement to complete before heading lower. Same thing, it needs to break or reject 105. So I'm looking for it to test and break back down. Break or reject this 105.70 level. Break or reject 105. Not break or reject, it's more reject. Reject 105.70 to head down to 105.30. Okay, so I'm looking for this retracement to complete before heading lower. Look for this retracement to complete before heading lower down to that 105.30 level. This is in anticipation that we're going to see the weakness on the dollar because of the CPI data, right? Possibly CPI data leading to to signal a slowdown in inflation growth, and then again further less likelihood for rate increases to come from the US. Into tomorrow, we have the Chinese CPI data to be released, and then Governor Bailey speaking at the Institute of International Finance, not too concerned about that. President Lagarde speaking as well at IMF seminar, at the World Bank Group, again in Morocco. I don't think it's going to do too much. And consumer sentiment, again, looks like it might slow down, show a bit of a slowdown, which might show that dollar weakness again. Okay, so that's relatively straightforward. Look for that retrace before coming back down. That's relatively straightforward as well. Okay, what we've experienced over the last couple of days was that right after the session, right? This was yesterday, right after the session, we see a complete, almost looks like a complete reversal. So what I'll do is I'll do a revision. We'll end the session again looking at the dollar index just to decide on, whether there's any revision or review required. Okay, so with that, hey Jamil, how you doing? Hey Ater. Then looking at the Kiwi dollar. Okay, Kiwi dollar here. What you might notice is that it's come down. So it took a fib level, and within that channel, take that away for now. Alright, we're expecting it to push up. It came right back down to test that channel. Now sitting along this point, I'm looking at this level here, 0.6 as a round number. So the last time on Tuesday, it came down to this point and bounced off. All right. Right now, looks like it's breaking that channel, but I think that if the dollar does push up a little bit before coming back down, that's going to signal that it might sit there before pushing back up again. Right, that dollar weakness is going to push the Kiwi dollar up. So I think that it's going to test this point. It's going to test 0.6. and push back up. I'm just considering right now, what I'm considering is whether we could see the dollar index push further up. But what I would be looking for here on the Kiwi dollar would be if it sits here or it does push back down and then back up again. Right? I might actually be more interested to see it crack 0.6, test this support level before pushing back up. You see the points here, and that's why we have it at 5983. Okay, so what I would be looking for here would be 5990. So a test and reject, 5990, very tight stop loss, no more than 20 pips. Your take profit could be up to 50 to the upside. If it does break below this point, then you could be looking for a selling opportunity, and that's where we had our double top. Right, we had our double top there, and it would be a little bit early there. You could also be looking to sell down, but because I'm anticipating that dollar weakness scenario, so I'm looking for that bounce back up. Okay, so 5990, 20 to 50 to the upside. 5990, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the upside. Okay, I'm happy with that. If it doesn't come all the way down and bounce, then I'll look for rejection of 0.6 before that push back up. So a very similar trade, but just a slower, a bit less on the take profit. Then onto the Aussie. Okay, you can see that the Aussie again overnight came down, tested that support level, pushed back up. I would be a little bit, with the way it's reacting, it's consolidating at this point. So just to share with you, if you look at the Kiwi dollar, it pushed up. We do see it come back down a little bit, looking like it might push back up again. Aussie dollar looks like it's really sitting right across, right? It looks like it's sitting right across. So I would come to consider that, in the dollar weakness scenario, we're buying the Kiwi up. But what if we see the dollar index push all the way back up, right? Maybe come all the way back and even beyond. Then maybe what you can be looking for here on the Aussie as a possible, opportunity would be below as it breaks 0.64, the round number level, 6390, 6390, stop loss 20 pips, take profit, you could go down to 80. I just want to catch this point here. Let me see, 61.8 is right there. So you have a 1:2 to the downside. Yeah, you can catch that one first. You can look to catch that first. So I'm looking at this scenario on the Aussie dollar in the event that we see a stronger recovery on the dollar index. Stronger recovery in strength on the dollar index. And I would take away 23.6 because that's already broken, and take away that point. So there we have it. Okay, I'll be looking for that to break. Could I even do this a little bit lower? 20 pips as well. 40 pips take profit. Rolls up, consolidate, break back down. Aussie sell trade because ABC pattern. I will, good one, Jamil. I will take your word for it. I'm not going to try and guess the ABC pattern. Okay. I'll look for that. Okay. How do you enter on a breakout? Do you trade on a pullback? Okay, so what happens in this scenario, zoom in a little bit, in this scenario is I would sit there and wait, look for it to come down to this point, break past that. If it closes below this support, I'll be interested. Once it closes or comes close or closes below this point, then I'll be looking to get in. I do a market execution. I don't look for a pullback, because a lot of times when it pulls back, it could continue all the way back up again. And pullback, there are many things to consider that could lead to a more deeper pullback, and you end up missing the opportunity. I'm just looking at this. As much as I think that this could happen, maybe it might be a little bit later. I think that this level might hold, but we'll put that down as a possibility. Okay, sell 0.6385, stop loss 20, take profit 40. 6385, stop loss 20, take profit 40. Okay, that looks like it makes good sense. 6.3, okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, it just needs to break past that point. And if you look at this, again, what I just saw is a bit of a head and shoulder pattern with that neckline there as well. Right? Obviously, it's not a textbook head and shoulder pattern, but if you look at that, that's possible. Look at H4, might come out a little bit more straightforward there. Right, so you do see the head and shoulder pattern there on the H4 with the tails. So, or even if you caught that body here, head and a body there, you see a head and shoulder pattern. So that's why I'm thinking also that it might see that drop to the downside. Then onto the US yen. Sadly, I was looking for that to happen, but sadly it doesn't look like it's going to play out. We saw that triangle that we had, broke out a triangle. If I were to revise this triangle, just catching these points, doesn't really make sense, so I'll take that one away. Okay, US yen rose above. We do have the previous high at 149.40 at that point there, consolidating. I would say that if we look at the dollar now pushing back up, what would be interesting, again, we look for this pattern. Do you have a possibility of buying position on the Aussie dollar? Would be a bounce. So you would look for, it would be very similar to what we anticipate for the Kiwi, right? Come down to bounce off the support to buy it back up. Then on the Aussie, you would look for it to come down, bounce off the support to buy it back up. So you could be looking for above. So 0.6405, take profit 30, stop loss 15, no more than 20 that way. So that's what you could be looking for on the Aussie, but I'm looking at that. If I were buying, I would buy the Kiwi up. Then if I was selling, I would look to sell the Aussie down. Okay. Then onto the US yen, possibly a lot more waiting to do. I think that it's a bit of a consolidation here, right? Sitting in a bit of a consolidation there. So what we would be looking for is a push, and then that dollar weakness pushing it back down again. Right, a push and then a dollar weakness pushing it back down again. Very similar to what we saw here. So in the terms of a setup, what we could be looking for, hey Robbie, how are you doing? Is 149.30. Stop loss, about 25 pips. Take profit, it could go all the way down to almost 100 pips to the downside. Right? We look for that. Test, reject, sell down to the support level. Okay, I'm happy with that. So 149.30, stop loss 25, take profit 100. And that could be something that would be something very high on my list. Well, firstly, I like the US yen, and then also because the CPI data released tonight is very likely and could bring about some significant price volatility. So that's what I'm looking for on the US yen. Okay. 149.30, stop loss 25, take profit 100, back down to that support. Well within that range. It's within that range. Great, I'll look for that. Okay. Then on to the pound dollar. So someone was asking, Kalin Z was asking if am I looking to sell the pound dollar down? I think that the thing with the pound dollars, it does get into a strong trending scenario at times. So you see that, again, I don't think that channel fits. I think we tried that yesterday. You see that it's being supported quite well, right, to the upside. It's like that. So it's supported quite well to the upside. If we did that from this point to there, to the top, we have our 23.6, which it tested once, bounced back up. 61.8 is right there. That level is broken. Let me just think a moment. I could actually take this one away. I don't think this does anything, because that's broken already. Take that one away. There we go. So now what I'm looking at here is that's the previous high at 1.2340. As it comes back down a little bit, it's consolidating. Dollar is testing this point. Checking the euro as well. Euro is retracing back. So I would do, okay, so how I look at this is Kiwi looking for it to bounce to buy up, Aussie looking for a possible break to sell to the downside. I would do something very similar for between the pound dollar and the euro dollar. Hey Jijo, how are you doing? Right, so I'll do something very similar on the pound dollar, is that I would be, in this case, looking for the pound dollar to come down to this support level at 1.2280. I want to see it test this point. Then I'll look to I'll look for this to test and break. I want to try and buy this up. I'm thinking that it's going to continue up, but it doesn't show that too much either. What's going to happen? It's going to come down to this point, test this level, and bounce back up. Okay, so what I'm looking for here on the pound dollar is, again, and you guys know that I don't like trying to predict the retracement levels, but we're looking for a move like that. Okay, and if that happens, then we're looking at 1.2285, take profit about 50 pips, stop loss about 20 pips, looking for that bounce back up. Okay, okay, good. If Robbie says that's what he sees, then that's the one to go for. Okay, so I think that that's reasonable. We'll look for that. I'm also considering that it doesn't, right, if this level, like we were talking about, right, if it does test 38.2 and turns back down, which is very close, or test this level and turn back down, then could it just sit along here and push back up? Okay, so if it does this, great. If not, if it just sits along that point, then you could be looking at 1.2350, take profit, 60 pips, stop loss. You know, even if you go 30 pips would be okay. 1:2 again to the upside. All right. Okay, so I'll be looking for that one first. 1.2285, stop loss 20, take profit 50. Buy 1.2285, stop loss 20, take profit 50. Then, a couple of questions I had. Robbie said, do you think BOJ intervention would join in with anticipated dollar weakness? I'm not anticipating that BOJ intervention at this point, because the chatter seems to have slowed down in terms of intervention, and I think that they might, just the CPI alone might not be enough for them to consider that intervention or to jump into for the intervention at this point. I think that it might be a scenario that maybe during the November meeting or later on. I don't see it happening this couple of days, right? If there was an intervention that first moved towards reserve, which we saw at the start of the week, I would have thought that they would have jumped in and intervened, but they didn't do anything. So I think that at this point, because it's below that 150 level, they might be just waiting to see what happens. Okay, hope I answered your question there. Yesterday I tried support and resistance lines. Can you help how I do in TradingView? Jijo, support and resistance lines, draw the line, and then you can double click on that and put in the text as a support and resistance, and then you can save that as a template. I think that's what you're asking for. All right. Ayan asking about Euro Yen. We'll get to the Euro Yen after the Euro Dollar. And on Pound, there are two buy possibilities on Pound. Yes, looking for it to either test and bounce or consolidate and break out to the upside. So still looking for that buying opportunity on the Pound Dollar. And then looking at the euro dollar. Okay, looking at the euro dollar, you can see that it was pushing up, and it broke above that resistance, that 50% fib retracement level. It came very close to 61.8 right there. So 50 is done. Right, it came very close to 61.8 right there, and now retraced back down. That resistance is now a support. So what I'm thinking here on the euro, $23.6 is interesting there. I was planning, okay, this is what I was planning, is that maybe if we're looking to buy the pound up, right, look for it to test and bounce back up, look for a buy, could we be looking to sell, you know, on the flip side, if we see the dollar strengthen, could we look to sell this down, very similar to what we have between the Kiwi and the Aussie. However, I'm still thinking that this is going to show me that dollar weakness scenario. Alright, I'm still thinking that CPI is going to show me a dollar weakness scenario. Euro dollar, I think that is going to drop a little bit more and bounce back up. Alright, it's going to drop a little bit more and bounce back up. So what you could be looking for is I'll give you a two scenario here on the euro dollar, is that if it comes down, test this level and bounce. I'm not even sure if it come all the way down. I don't like it. I don't like it when it's retracing, because I'm just trying to guess where. I don't like guessing. I'm just trying to guess where it's going to retrace down to. Right? So I think that it could test this level and bounce back up. What you would only be looking to buy on the euro dollar is 1.063. I think the safer one would be 1.0640. So above that high, stop loss 30 pips, take profit a good 90 pips to the upside. Right, you could look to get in a little bit earlier, but I think that with 1.06 right there, bounce back up, I would have this as a dollar weakness scenario. But what you could consider, what I would also put in as a possibility, is that if it does break below that 38.2 retracement level, so 1.05575, stop loss about 20 pips, take profit, you know, you could go down to that 60 pips to the downside. And do that. Yeah, so I got a bit of I'm undecided on the euro dollar, but I have these two setups as, you know, either possibility. Okay. Diana, I can't get to the pound dollar. Give me a second. Let me just put in this one on the euro. So euro, what we're looking at is we could look to buy at 1.0640, stop loss 30, take profit 90, or we could look to sell below that 38.2 retracement level, which is 1.0558. or 1.0560. Stop loss no more than 20. Take profit about 60 pips to the downside. Okay, stop sell 1.0580. 60. Then stop loss 20, take profit about 60 to the downside. Okay, so Diana had a question about the pound dollar. Oh, what about, let me know, Diana? And then while Diana's typing up a question, Kalinzi is asking, do you recommend drawing fib levels on 1 hour or daily time frame? I would say that you can do you should do the fib level on the time frame that you're trading on. So if you're trading on the daily time frame, draw on the daily time frame. If you're doing it on the H1 time frame, draw it on the H1 time frame. Okay. So there's no hard and fast rule that you have to do it on the H1 or the daily. You can see that, look at that, it's retracing back up now, 38.2, and that's why we see the pound dollar still tracking lower. And that's still pushing back up. Okay, good. Looks like it's performing as we require for now. Okay, Diana's got the chart there. Then Euro Yen, someone asked about Euro. I think Diana asked about Euro Yen. Oh no, Ayan asked about Euro Yen. As we look at the Euro Dollar, being a little bit undecided for now, then looking at the Euro Yen, very topish. All right, it's right at that level of 158.50. Failed to break so many times. Look at that, failed to break so many times. Then now I would say that if you're going to buy this up, you have to be super careful. The euro dollar pushing up is going to pull the euro yen up. If the euro dollar goes up, that's going to mean dollar weakness. That's going to drag the US yen down. And if that drags the euro yen, the US yen down, then this is going to pull. So there's going to be a contradiction because euro dollar going up should drag the euro yen up, but yet US dollar dropping should drag the euro yen down. So it's going to sit along this level and be choppy, not very dissimilar to what we've seen over the past few times in September. At this point, you could have both that straddle, a bit of a straddle decision where you're looking at 158.65, stop loss very tight, no more than 30 pips. Take profit, you would have a level about there. So at 159.50, you can look at that. Or we look for a repeat of what has been happening in September, a rejection to the downside, 158.20, stop loss about 30 pips as well. Take profit could go down to that 90, 100 pips back down. All right, Ayan. That's what I think for the euro yen. I used to trade the euro yen quite a bit, but right now I'm just trying to filter down on the currency pairs. So I think that's a reasonable approach on the euro yen. Then on to the US Swiss franc was dropped. We started the session and we were looking at the US Swiss franc dropping very nicely. Test that 0.90 round number level. All right, it broke down, probably grabbed a little bit of liquidity, pushed back up right now, tracking back up. Okay, at this point, it looks like hey, take that away. It looks like that dollar strength, that dollar pushing back up. Is there any big reason why? No. Yeah, it just seems to be a retracement before possibly coming back down again. So with that brief dollar recovery at this point, we're possibly looking at the US Swiss franc test at resistance level before looking for that continuation back down. Okay, so test 23.6 and sell down on the US Swiss franc 9035, stop loss 20, take profit. You have an immediate one at 50, or you could go all the way down. So I'll go to 50 because it's just at that level. Oops, laggy. $9035, stop loss 20, take profit 50, back down again. Sell 9035, stop loss 20, take profit 50. So we're looking again, I seem to be doing this the whole session today, but looking for that move. Okay, then onto the US CAD. You guys are going to hate me for saying this. It is still sitting in that range. I am still going to maintain that view. Whereas testing along this 1.36 support level, it could bounce off on dollar strength or drop on oil price. I don't think it'll be drop. I think could be. Okay, I tell you what. Testing, so I'm actually looking, okay, on the US CAD, I would actually revise this and say I don't think we'll see that dollar strength come into play. I think that with it sitting along this, just below that 1.36 level, what we're looking for it to do is break below that 61.8 fib retracement. Because of that dollar weakness scenario, with the CPI, we could see that come down, break lower. So 1.3550, stop loss 25, take profit 125 to the downside. 125 is a bit big. I don't think it'll go all the way. Okay, I'll say 125 to the downside, but you would be considering something along this point, which would be your 65 pip, almost 70 pip level. Okay, so needs to break, sell 1.3580, no, 1.3550, stop loss 25, take profit 125. 50, stop loss 25, take profit 125. All right, does that make sense? Let me know if it's all good. Put it into the chat. Now we've done the 4 hours, the 4 o'clock, so now it's a new hour. We're looking for that to reject and push back down. That would work perfectly for me right now. Okay, then on to gold. Right, so this was what we said yesterday, right? Yesterday we were saying that gold stays above 1865, climbed to 1885. It's just done that. It stayed above 1865, it climbed steadily. I was scalping it up to that 18 towards that 1885 level. Right, it came up to that point. Right now, look at what happened here the last time round. So it reversed from here. Looks like it's trying to reverse a little bit. Thank you, Kalinzi. I appreciate that a lot. At this point, $23.6 is there. And this is here, so this level is still valid. Okay, so I think it's going to consolidate, take that away. I think it's going to, I don't see it retracing that significantly. What I wanted to do is break that resistance, because we are expecting that dollar weakness scenario. So we can see it break that resistance and get towards, I would say get towards 1904. However, if it's at 1904 and 1902, I would go down to the 1900 level just because it's a nice round number. Okay, so it needs to break above 1885 to get to that 19. So it's going to sit around here for a little bit, I think, and then after that we could see it get towards that 1900 level. So on gold, I would say that break above 1885 to climb to 1900. Look at that. I hope that plays out nicely. Almost to the way we've drawn it. Okay, so with that, then just a quick review. Kiwi dollar pushing down. You might be looking to buy it from there. Oh, I typed 185, did I? Ah, good one. Thanks for that, Zachary. Someone's paying attention. Thank you. Thanks, Diana. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me spot that, Zachary. So Kiwi dollar, looking for that bounce. Could get in a bit earlier as well. Aussie dollar. If it just stays within here, I'm not going to do anything. I want to see it break. I might not even be looking at that. You're most welcome, Val. I want to see the USDM push up a little bit. I don't want to see it here, because if it's here and it starts dropping, I'm not going to be so comfortable selling it down. Right? I'm not going to be so comfortable selling it down from this point. But I would love to see it track up a little bit more before turning. Pound dollar, we might not see it trade all the way down. We might see that second move on the upside. Euro dollar bouncing off that support, which might see this 1.0640 setup come around. Sweezy, I don't really bother too much, and the CAD is still waiting. Jem, can you remind me why you never draw potential stop loss profit levels on gold? Okay, so because gold, for me, I do this. Where's gold? I do mostly scalping, all my scalping on gold. So, and also, so I don't do my big H1 take profit stop loss levels. And also because it's a lot more choppy, lack of a better word, choppy. So we do see a lot more tails and spikes. So if we did, for example, like what we did yesterday, right, above 118.65, then we look to buy it up. Sometimes you could get caught out. So the stop loss levels tend to be a little bit wider if you are doing it on the medium term, I feel, on gold. So that's one reason why I just look for that general direction on gold. For myself, I do it more on a super short term. Yeah, and I hope that answers your question there, Jambi. You're most welcome, Jamil. Yeah, so it's also a bit of like how I approach gold, because basically for me, when I'm scalping on gold, I'll just sit there and be like, okay, I'm playing, like how I sit here and plan with you guys. Okay, if it breaks past this level, it could get to that point. If it breaks past that level, then I'll start sitting there and I'll be like, okay, it's likely to move to the upside. Can I look to get into trades? So I'm not interested in it unless it breaks a level. So I'm only looking for level to trade from level to level. Okay. And then I guess that's it. I want to see things retrace a little bit more. I don't think the retracement is complete yet. Yeah, I think it's a little bit early to say that it's complete. So I would like to see it retrace, maybe retrace a little bit more before, it's not that far off, 0.6, it's a nice round number, come down a bit, 10-20 pips more before pushing back up. Okay, so with that said, please remember, help me out, click that like and subscribe button if you found the session good and useful, and the link for the Discord channel is there. Do click on it if you have not already joined us on Discord. And if you'd like to check out Max Global Markets, do scan that QR code right at the bottom of that corner there. With that said, take care, trade well, trade safe. I'll see you on Discord. If not, I'll see you next week. No session tomorrow. No live stream tomorrow. I am out and about running some errands, so no session tomorrow. On Friday and Monday, I'll be back on Tuesday with you guys. Okay, so do trade well, trade safe, and take care. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. See ya. Bye-bye.